am Kim Kral. I am reporting to you not live from my closet. And I am here with the beautiful Savannah Manhattan. Hi.
Hi, Kim.
Hi. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm so excited.
I'm really excited too, especially because I haven't seen you in a while.
I know we haven't seen each other since I got COVID.
Oh my God, yeah, that's been a struggle.
Yeah, it's been, what are you gonna do? You know, like I feel like everyone who listens to my podcast has heard from the beginning to like current, and like the only thing now I just can't breathe, which sounds like it should be more dramatic than it is, because when I say that to people are like, yeah, that's like the main thing humans need. Like that's like the thing. And I'm like, yeah, I guess. I mean, I feel like my oxygen levels I have an oximeter that I put on my finger and they seem fine. Sometimes they're low and they'll be low for like 20 minutes. And all I think is, fuck, I got to go to the emergency room. Because if it's below 95, you got to go to the emergency room. So I'm like willing my oxygen to get to my blood because the emergency room's a nightmare. And then it gets to it. So I don't know.
Well, it's nice. You're still glowing and smiling. That's what matters.
Yeah. Well, I thank you. And I got a haircut the other day, and I was talking to a woman about my COVID, and she was like, "Oh, so you got like the really bad kind?" And I was like, "Well, I didn't get like the dead kind, so like it's not like the worst kind, right? Like it could have been way worse, right? Though."
I mean, yeah, so you could be dead. So
I know we all know people who've passed away on that. Like I feel like most people know somebody who had passed away from it, or know somebody who knows somebody, you know. So I'm just like, so I'm smiling because I'm not dead or on a ventilator somewhere. Knock on wood, you know.
Oh my God, yeah.
So the last time I saw you, we were at the pool, and you've gone through a few changes since then, right?
Just a teeny bit, just a little teeny little change, like nothing, like something tiny, like I don't know, a transition maybe.
Maybe a transition is that maybe just a tiny one.
Just minor, something everyone does on a daily basis.
On a day, how do you feel? Can you walk me through that process? Can you tell our listeners your experience, absolutely. What's going on? Tell me everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, first off, it's like the greatest experience ever.
Yeah. You look glowing. Like you look happy. Like you were always happy, but there's like a difference in you. Do you know what I mean? Like
and I definitely feel way happier because I feel you're gonna be a lot happier when you have nothing left to hide.
Yeah.
Like I had this weighing on me for at least 6 years. I mean, definitely things. Really? Yeah, things like through childhood happen, of course, but they don't really like pop up. I always tell people it's like seeds were planted in your childhood, and then the trees and branches started to bloom like 6 years ago. So
really?
Oh, definitely.
And it was conscious. Like 6 years ago, it was like, oh, I want to do this. But then I know it's not easy to, especially in this day and age. I mean, hopefully that will change in another decade. Hopefully people be, but it's not an easy thing to just say, right?
No, not at all. Like coming out's never easy. Like, and especially with how accepting LA is, you always think like, oh, well, everyone else who's coming out is having the time of their life and being cool. Like, but then you think like, oh, well, maybe I'll be the exception.
Oh, yeah.
I mean? And it's like, oh God, like, why did I do that? But then I was like, I was originally going to come out in like close to my birthday as like a early birthday present.
Yeah.
Which is in August, but I came out back in March, and at that point I was already working my new job as Savannah.
Oh, okay. Did you get hired as Savannah?
I did, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
And then I like I was already like among a lot of other friends as Savannah, so I was like, it was just like building and building to a point where I was like, oh, I can't take it anymore. Like,
Yeah.
I I was like, I'm way too happy as her, and it's my true self, and it's like people are starting to catch on anyway. So
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I'll just do it like come Monday. And then Sunday came, and I went to go on Facebook to change my name because they're like, oh, it'll take like 3 to 5 days to process the name change. And then
Oh, really?
as soon as I press submit, it changed to the name.
Oh,
And
no. And you're
then
like, well, I guess I'm doing this. I guess.
yeah,
Oh,
I was like, all right, well, I might as well because I don't want to like have people asking questions. So boop, post.
did you already have the post all written out?
Oh God, yeah.
Like weeks ago, probably, right? Like weeks
Yeah.
before, like,
Oh yeah, I would like read it and reread it and reread it and reread it and retype something, add an exclamation mark, get rid of an exclamation mark, add a yellow heart, get rid of a yellow heart, add a trans flag, get rid of a trans. I was like, this is too many trans flags. How many is enough?
how many is too many trans flags and how many is it? I want to get the, yeah, that's, and then the exclamation point is always the thing. You see the meme that's like, here's an exclamation point. Now here's a sentence with a period. So you know that I'm not crazy. Here's another exclamation point. So you know I'm excited. Cause I exclaim a lot. I love exclamation points. I don't care what people think when they're,
I know, because it's everything you're saying is exciting. So you
yeah.
want people to see that.
And then
Um,
you hit post.
yeah, and then I just stopped because I came out last year as gay as like a half measure.
Mhm.
I was like, let's just see how the public takes this.
Yeah.
Like, and then in my mind, I thought, um, I was like, it would give me full carte blanche to dress as feminine as I wanted.
Mhm.
Because if I did, people would be like, "Oh, that's him. Like he's just like being gay, you know."
Yeah.
And then, but in my mind, I was like, "This is my ultimate master plan to
I
like."
can't believe because you came to my place right after you came out as gay. And now, and like when you were like, I've known that, and your post, you're like, I've known this a while. I was like, oh my gosh, that bitch knew that then. Sorry, bitch is, bitch is a term of endearment.
No, I feel endeared when you say it.
Yeah, I don't say it mean, you can tell it's a, but yeah, I was like, that bitch knew it that day. I can't believe,
I
but that's, and you seemed happy that day when you were like, yeah, I came out as gay, and it was like, cool, dude. And it was like, whatever. And then, I don't know, like 6 months later, maybe? I don't know. Time isn't real any longer. I don't know.
Oh my God, yeah, it was like it was basically a year ago when I saw you last.
No. What month is it?
It
Yeah.
was yeah, it was just about I want to say it was like July or August when I saw you.
Oh my, yeah, because that well, and we got really sunburned. You
Yeah.
got way more sunburned than I did, and I got really sunburned. We'll
Oh
have
my
to do another
God.
pool day, but with sunscreen and maybe not laying out by the pool the whole 5 hours. I think we laid by the pool for like 5 hours. We literally laid on those pools. Okay, I have a question, and maybe it's like, where did you come up with Savannah? Savannah Manhattan is like the prettiest name I've ever heard in my life. Like
Oh.
the other day, someone on a flyer, you're a comedian too, for your listeners, check out her comedy. She's very funny. We'll get all the plugs and stuff at the end. But one of the flyers the other day, it was like, my last name is not Montana. Savannah Montana made me laugh for 40 minutes because Hannah Montana. I was like, what fucking I must have reread. I was like, that's so goddamn funny. But then I'm like, where did you get like? Because you got to pick Savannah, and Savannah is so pretty, right? I don't know what's the origin of
Oh,
what's the
thank
significance.
you. Um, yeah. So originally, I was going to be when I was first coming to fruition with it, like 6 years ago. The name that I thought was Luna,
No.
And like as the time went on, I realized like Luna honestly sounds like a stripper name. I was like, I don't want to be Luna Manhattan. Like Luna sounds like I'm coming back home with tons of dollar bills all the time.
Yeah, like Sugar Manhattan. Yeah. It's like definitely best friends with Sugar and Candy. I don't know stripper names. I'm not very, I'm not good at the stripper.
I'm Candy
Mercedes.
Manhattan.
Yeah. So
No,
you've had this name picked out for 6 years?
just about, yes, because I was looking. I was trying to figure out my outfit look, like my aesthetic at the time, and like I was looking at a certain kind of outfit. I think it was like more of a cottage core thing.
Mm-hmm. I don't
And
know what cottage core is.
oh, it's like flowery, kind of sunny clothing, like that you would see someone who like who like gallops through fields.
Oh, okay, like Sound of Music, but like modern and no Nazis. I've never seen that movie, but I hear there are a lot. Are there Nazis in it? I don't.
I heard. Yeah, I think they do a musical number.
Have you not seen The Sound of Music either?
I haven't.
I think you and I are the only two people on the whole planet. People get so mad when you're like, I haven't seen that movie. They're like, what? I'm like, isn't it really old? And they do a musical number with whatever. But so like that feel where she's like skipping through, because I know but modern.
Yeah, just like something you might expect someone who lives in a cottage. Okay. And like frolics to wear, like sundresses, like really bright colors, like a Lana Del Rey kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
But so I was looking at that, and then just out of nowhere, the name Savannah popped up in my mind, and I was like, oh my god, like that's so, I love that name so much. And I was like, Savannah Manhattan, that's perfect.
That's beautiful. It's a beautiful name. It's a star's name. It's a star's name.
Well, I sure hope so.
Yeah. Well, you could. Yeah, you have to. You have to pick a star's name, right? But you are, because you're going to be one, I think.
I hope so.
So for 6. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say. And then I had a middle name in my old life, but I was like, I want a new middle name.
Yeah.
Because so I was like, I was trying for a while to figure out a middle name, and like I met this woman named Montserrat.
What was her name? Montserrat?
Yeah, Montserrat.
Last name Sarah, or Montserrat full name?
Montserrat full name.
Okay.
She was like, I was like, what's your name? She's like, it's Montserrat. And in my mind, I was like, that's a beautiful name. But yeah. It wasn't good for a first name, but I thought it was a perfect middle name. So I was like, Savannah Montserrat Manhattan is.
Oh my god, that is so pretty.
So that was like my name history, and yeah. So that's how I chose those.
And so you've known since childhood.
Well, it's one of those things where you know at a certain point, like your brain tells you, but you look back at your childhood and you're like, oh, those things that I did make sense.
Can I ask like what kind of things?
I was always so like just to clarify, like anybody of any identity can do anything, right? Like expression wise. But as far as for me, I enjoyed like dressing up way more in women's clothes. I got along much more with women friends. Mm-hmm. Like I hung out all the time in elementary school and middle school with way more women than guys, and I was even made fun of for it. But I, like in elementary school, some guys would be like, "Oh, you're hanging out with tons of girls?" And I was like, "That's because they're way more fun."
They're way more fun. Also, I never understood that when dudes would pick on other dudes for hanging out with women. It's like, yeah, I know how to talk to women. You're just jealous that you don't know how they don't want to hang out with you, but they want to hang out with me. That's such a dumb, but yeah, and women are better. So
they kind of are. Like Now that we're both here, like women are just way better, honestly.
Way better. I mean, no offense, guys out there who are listening, you know we love you, but like, you also know I have like a joke where I talk about how men are idiots. And I'm like, well, you know, you're all idiots. And I'm like, some of you are dumber than the other ones, but you're all idiots. And then I'm like, if you're mad right now, you're the dumbest idiots. And if you're like, yeah, we're pretty dumb, you're one of the smarter idiots. You know what I mean? Like, there's two types of men, the ones that know they're dumb and they're less dumb. I just lost like half. And every time I tell that on stage, I'm always like, I just lost half of you, but you're the dumbest ones. So you probably wouldn't get the joke anyway. So,
well, yeah, like you're dividing in the right way because you're seeing who the real idiots are.
Yeah, like I had a boyfriend who called himself Jimmy the Dragon, and like just, I mean, it was a self-appointed nickname. You've never heard me talk about this guy?
No, ever.
Oh God, he owned a Magic the Gathering shop in Koreatown, had a cocaine problem. It was
a coke problem.
And what? A coke problem, and it was like, it was my rock bottom. It was literally when we broke up, but I heard from him recently. He like messaged me like, I don't know, like 3 weeks ago. And it was so sad because I look at it and I'm just like, oh, like you were my rock. Cause he was like, you were amazing. And I am, but I wasn't in that relationship. That was like my lowest points. Right. And he was like, you were amazing. I was a fool. And I'm like, dude, you were like my rock bottom. Like, it's sad that you look back on our relationship and you think that it was like, I don't know. But I have a joke about him where like how I found out about Jimmy the Dragon. He said the dragon has this, and he said it a couple of times. And it's just like, guys, you say a lot of dumb shit. So I just sort of ignored him until I couldn't anymore. Then finally it was like, who the fuck is Jimmy the Dragon? Self-appointed nickname. Nobody else called him that. I mean, except for now that I have jokes in a podcast, a slew of people call him that because I don't use his name was James, but they're dumb.
Oh my God. Yeah. And for you to be still amazing, even at your rock bottom, just shows how amazing you are, honestly.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I'm sure you've had those relationships where you look back and you're just like, there was a lot of like, that guy and I loved each other as much as two people who didn't love themselves could love someone. If that makes sense.
That does, in a weirdly broken way.
In a hugely broken way. Yeah, hugely. Sorry, I will never use that. I know that Bigley was. I was like, what did the former president always say that I don't like to mention his name? He said Bigley. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Whatever. Bigley, the small hands. I don't know.
The accordion hands.
God, thank God that's over. But so God, I just like, so you've known 6 years. I can't imagine knowing something like that for 6 years and then just not being like, I can't imagine the challenge that must, like how hard that must have been to just this massive part of yourself that you're just like.
Yeah, it was for sure. At first it was petrifying. I was scared out of my mind that was the case. But I knew I wasn't choosing it. It was like everyone should listen to their body and mind when it's trying to tell them something. And we can't, like, we don't just wake up one day and we're like, oh, you know what? I'm bored. I'll decide to be a woman, you know?
That's the thing. Like, everyone acts like it's like this, like 6 years, like, I know I seem shocked. It's just, I've known you that long, right? So I've just known you for so long. But like, everyone acts like it's like, one day you're just like, I'm done being a dude. I'm going to do this life altering that will completely change my whole body. I will probably lose friends and family because of how like, but I'm just going to do it and see what happens. It's
just for the hell of it. I'm way too popular. I'm doing too well. I want to see how, I want to lose people.
I would like to drop some friends, just like, change my body by taking some pills, like, you know, like do this whole thing. And if I change my mind at the end of it, it'll be fine. I'll just, like, I don't, cause like everybody I know a handful of trans people and every single one of them is like, yeah, I've known the whole time. on some level I've known the whole time. And then when I like, it wasn't like consciously as a child you knew, but like you said, in hindsight, you look back and you're like, I had a friend years ago. Sadly, she passed away. But she remember when I ran Mouthy Pants? I think
I
that's where
do,
we
yeah.
met. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
She was the bar back there, and she was a he then. She was a trans woman, and someone had told me, one of our mutual friends was like, "Oh, Brandon," and it's okay. I'm honoring her by telling her story. I think I've told it quite a bit, but so I hope so. But my buddy was like, "Oh, Brandon is going to come out as a trans woman. Is going to transition into a woman,
Uh-huh.
but she's not telling anyone right now." And I don't know why this guy, I mean, this is a dear friend of mine, and he knows that I'm not somebody who will be like, what? He knows that I'm accepting and loving and whatever. So he knew it was like a safe place, and he knew I wasn't going to run around and tell everybody, but he tells me, and I'm like, okay. And then a few days later, I see her name is Lorelei. Her name was, so I
Oh,
use
that's
her.
a very pretty
So
name.
Lorelei Wolf, so fucking pretty, right? So
Oh,
pretty.
God.
And so she comes, and she's at the bar, and she's Brandon. And we had this is the last time I saw her. I unfortunately never got to meet Lorelei Wolf. I only met, but I hug her, and I hug her like a shade too long, right? Like way too long for the way. And she pulls away and she goes, "Who told you?" I was like, "Oh, and so did." And like, cause it was like, you always hug me, but you've never, like, I mean, I like was like, it was like a proud, I love you hug. And she pulled away and she goes, "Who told you?" And then I told her, and she looked at me, and I have never seen another human with so much fear in her eyes as to like how I would react. And she was just like, what do you think of that?" I was like, "I
Oh,
love you." Like, yeah. What were you gonna say? I'm sorry.
well, no, you like it's a fear that we have because even people that we know that will love us, we're afraid that there will be that one thing that they don't understand that will cause them to pull away. So like that's why like when I started, I told I told one person.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, because when you start it, it builds up to the point where you're like, okay, I have to tell somebody.
Yeah, that's a
Like
really
I can't
big
just like
thing.
hide it. Yeah. So you form your little circle. And then so I told my friend, and then she immediately accepted and was being like a fairy godmother, like helping me out with looks and like all that kind of thing, and just like being supportive. And then just like that worked. So I spread it out to like a slightly wider circle, like told a few more people. And then but I like told people on forums, like I went to therapy. And it took me like the third session of therapy to admit to my therapist that, yeah, I'm a woman. So what do we do now?
What would your
Um,
therapist say?
she was just she was just happy that I got to that point, but she was just helping me with like taking little steps, like baby steps. She's like, okay, like wear what you want, like actually want, and go out like during a night and have fun. Or she would say, like, buy a candle and write in a diary and like journal a little bit, like just little challenges, because it is so petrifying to like have that life altering perspective of yourself, because like who I was before was on a trajectory in comedy and acting and stuff, and I was getting certain opportunities, and I was like, okay, well, the friends I've made, the opportunities I have, I might not these might all be gone if I come out. So like I was just like, oh my God, are people gonna think like I'm a freak? Or like, is this even a legitimate thing? So
How
it
was
just,
that? Yeah.
oh my, so it takes so much. It's meditation, and that's why like even telling people who you're friends with is so scary, because also I like saying that as soon as it's hard to even tell yourself that, like say it out loud, because once you say it out loud, it has finality to it. It has substance. So you're like when I even like choked it out of my mouth to say it to myself, like I was like you're I was like, I'm a woman, and I felt my heart racing, and I thought like, oh my god, like it feels so final, and like that was the first path, that was the first step of the path forward. And then my therapy ended, and then I was like dating someone at the time too, and I had to like, I told my therapist that like my ultimate challenge was telling her. And we had like a talk that ended up organically coming to that topic.
Really?
Yeah, because I thought when her and I started dating, like even before we were, like when we were first talking, I told her that I was in the closet about being trans.
Okay.
And she somehow still wanted to date me, which was cool, but it was never really brought up. And then like the whole thing happened, and then so like it came to that topic, and I was like, yeah, so remember when I told you before, like when we were first started talking, like that I was in the closet about being trans, and I was like, that still is true.
I love that's still a thing. So that's still,
So what are we gonna do about it?
yeah.
And it worried her, and like she kind of repressed it, and like she was going through her own problems, which kind of just like disintegrated the relationship. But I got to a point anyway where I was like, I was getting so um like her repression was causing, and my excitement about it was causing such a division. So when we broke up and I moved somewhere new, like I was like, okay, now I'm gonna take hormones.
When was this? Can I ask?
Of course, it was beginning of quarantine.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay.
So last my actually Kim, my Tranniversary is this month.
What day?
This I want to say the 17th.
Oh, it's like 5 days. No, is that? Hold on. That's when this episode comes out.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I almost fell over in my chair.
I know. It's like, I didn't excite you that much. That's like serendipitous. That's what this. So when this episode comes up, Happy Tranniversary.
That's amazing.
I love that. That's Saturday.
I wish I had a little confetti cannon.
I know, I do too. I wish. Well, I don't in here. I'm afraid of that. Those things. They're very loud. I don't like loud stuff. Like a dog, but
it would scare Henry, maybe.
Yeah, he's off doing his thing right now. I act like he's off. He has hobbies. That's my cat. Everyone who listens knows who Henry is.
He's off working.
He's working. I think he's napping. I don't know what he's doing. He's my best friend. But the 17th, you move into a new place. Did you because you moved into a new place? Did you move in as Savannah? Did you no? Because you hadn't. Tell me.
No, so this is the crazy thing. It's like I wasn't out to my friend who I was moving in with, but I had a private Finsta.
What's a Finsta?
So for the listeners, a Finsta is like a side Instagram page. It's like your other Instagram page.
You have a side Instagram page?
I had my private trans page where I was my true me. But yeah, I have 3 Instagram pages.
I know I follow 2 of them.
You follow my restaurant review one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that one, and then my main one, and then my trans one that was secret for a while was called That Is So Savannah.
Oh, I love
that. Because like trans girls, we all have like kind of quirky handles to things, like Suddenly Sarah, or like, stuff like that.
Oh, I love that.
Or Just Jessica. Stuff like that. So I was like, I want to do that. And so I was like, that is so Savannah. Um, but yeah, so I had that. So my friend who I moved in with, he sends me a photo. He's like, look what I found. And it was my profile picture on my private Instagram page, which he didn't know about.
Oh, okay.
And I stopped in my tracks because I was on Melrose walking, and I just like froze, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, your heart
Oh
probably dropped
God.
into your stomach.
Not even in my, it wasn't even in my stomach. I pooped it out.
It pooped it all out. Oh, and then were you like, what do you think of that? Or was like, what? Because like
I was like,
that's not like
yeah,
a I'm into it or I'm out, I don't like it thing to text, right? It's a very neutral, look what I found. And you're like, and where are we stand? Like, where do we
yeah.
land on it? Yeah.
I know it was so scary. I was like, oh my God, that looks uncannily like me. I was
That's
like,
the,
wow, where'd you find that? And he's like, that's like your catfish or something. Um, but I was trying to play it off like it wasn't me, but it looked a lot like me. I was like, oh, that's crazy. Like, where'd you find that and stuff?
yeah.
And then he said like, um, just to let you know, I'm okay with whoever you are. Like, if you're trans or however you dress or whatever, I'm cool with. And I thought that was okay. And when I moved in, um, like he's such a dumbass. Like, we're not even friends anymore.
Oh no.
But he, like, also like a Trump supporter, a QAnoner. Like, that was him, and I found that out when I moved in.
You lived with a QAnoner?
I did for a while, yeah.
Holy
So,
shit.
and he would say like transphobic things, forgetting that I was trans, like, because his memory was so bad, like he kept forgetting like that I was that. So it was kind of good for me knowing that about him.
Yeah.
So when I started taking hormones, he caught me once, and he was like, "Oh, what are those?" And I was like, "Oh, they're just my vitamins. Like, they're just my prescription vitamins."
And he's dumb, so he's but real quick, what a bizarre thing for a Trump supporter. Like that is not that's like a not they don't match. Like a Trump supporter to be like, whoever you are, if you're trans, that's totally fine with me. But I guess it does, because like if you talk to those people now, they'll say like I don't care, I just want my right, like I want my rights or whatever. But they're like undercover, right? Like, oh my gosh,
No,
okay,
but for sure, it was so weird, and like he would see that my whole wardrobe was all women's clothes and stuff, and he would be like, yeah, I don't care what you wear and stuff, but he would just think that I was like a really flamboyant gay guy, and he never. And then it got to a head where I was finally moving out. I was like a week away from moving into my new place.
mm-hmm.
And so you have your change of address mail change, but they send one to the new place and they send one to your old place. And I forgot to check the mail that day, because I made the mail under Savannah.
Yeah.
And so he like grabs the mail, and then he gives me that. He's like, "Oh, he's like, who's Savannah?" And he gives it to me. And then I just like freeze again. Like, I'm on my computer and I like freeze. And I'm thinking like, oh my God, do I tell him? Do I tell him? Like, because I'm moving out in a week anyway. And then I froze for long enough where he like then added to it. He was like, he's like, you know what? I realized that you don't have any sisters. I mean, that you have sisters, but I don't know their names. Is Savannah your sister? And then so that was my out card.
You're
And
like, you're just quiet long enough for him to like come up with a story, and you're like, yeah, that's it.
that's exactly it. I was like, yeah, she's my sister. She wanted help with taxes. So she sent me her tax stuff, which it was tax season. So,
Nice.
and then so I dropped it, and then I came out like 1 month into living here. Like it's just a much safer place living here, and I haven't heard from him at all anymore. He kind of just removed himself from my life, which
Oh, I love
does
that.
me a favor.
Oh yeah. The healthier you get and the more self-worth you get, the more the toxic people just sort of fuck off on their own.
They just
Right?
fly
Like,
away.
yeah, I'm good. The trash took out, what is it? The trash took out itself. Like it's so awesome when that happens and people are like, yeah, you're like, oh, I didn't have to do anything. They just I shine so bright they were too afraid to come to me. Like that's what I think.
They like hiss and then retreat back in their cave.
Yeah, that's what, you're too bright now. Yeah, exactly. He hisses. And the thing is like I would have frozen too, because that guy isn't a safe guy to be like, oh, by the way, I haven't told anybody yet. You're not safe. You're very transphobic. Here's when you applied for have you legally changed your name to Savannah?
That's a good question. So I'm actually in the middle of that process. I found a lawyer who was willing to do my filing and my case for free.
What?
And then they filled out all my paperwork for me, and they gave me the forms with the pre-printed answers. So I just have to sign stuff, and then I just have to file it with the courthouse, and then I'll have the case. But then as soon as they know that you're not like a fugitive or anything, then
yeah, I guess people change their names if they're wanted. I guess that's true.
But like, I think changing your gender if you're on the run would be the perfect crime.
Oh yeah, because then they're looking not. Yeah, I guess that's true. Because you in addition to changing your name, you're changing your gender on your birth certificate. Do you get a new birth certificate? Is that a dumb question? That might be a dumb question.
It's not a dumb question. So like, I was learning everything that you have to get. It's such a labyrinthine slew of papers that I have to figure out once it goes through. Like as soon as the judge approves it, then I have to like file the okay from the signed petition from the judge to my home state where my birth certificate is. They'll change it to reflect my name and my new gender, like as if I was born a woman in the eyes of the state.
Oh.
And then that becomes like stuff that I can, and then they'll change my social security name, and then they will then I'll be able to send that paperwork to the DMV and to my bank to change like my driver's license, my bank account. It's and then like it's such a like it's a long process, but it's going to be so cool to like, I always kind of joke around when I'm at a restaurant with my debit card that my like when they give me the receipt to sign, I'm like, this receipt dead named me.
What do you say?
This receipt dead named me.
Oh, I love that. Is that, wait, what dent named me? Is that?
Ooh, okay. Learning time, Kim.
I know. I don't know anything.
It's okay. That's what I'm here for.
I love you.
So dead naming, like someone's dead name is their name they used before they became their new self.
Oh, is it dead or dent?
Dead, like it's dead.
Oh, dead naming me. Oh, that's funny. Did the person who you said that to know what that meant?
No, I just kind of like thought of it in my head. I didn't really say it.
I pictured you saying it in a big like a long table. Like this is how elaborate my head is. A big long table, and you're standing at the front of it with a martini glass.
Excuse me.
And then everyone going,
dead named me. Yeah.
And I'm like, am I the only one that doesn't know what a dead name is? And because I pictured everyone at the table laughing at the joke. And you're like, no,
I'm glad that everyone was laughing in your head.
Well, yeah, you're really funny. You're very funny. And so you said that's one of your worries is that like, I mean, it's already scary enough. I like re-emerging into the world as Kim Kral when I was Kim Kral, you know what I mean? Like re-emerging into the world and just like, I'm different in general, just like, you know, I feel like we all are just because we spent a year reflecting, I hope most people, right?
Yeah.
And so like, I'm already afraid of going back out in the world, but you have like you're like a whole new identity. You know what I mean? Like, and
I kind of treated it like a cocoon in a way, like, and I thought as like as bad as it was for like people to face death and despair, unemployment, all that stuff with COVID, I thought the lockdown was one of the best things to happen for personal growth.
Same.
Because I was like, I don't have to go out every day doing comedy. I'm not like pressured to like be out. Like I can use this time to like hide and develop how I need to. And then by the time I come back outside, I'll be hot as fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. Look at you. Yeah. And before you have to like, I love the like, before, yeah, if we didn't have the thing, you wouldn't have been able to take your time to like decide when you want to, because eventually it would be like, what's going on? And you're like, oh, well, you know what? Like it's, yeah, changes happen when you take hormones. And like, now you're able to be in your like cocoon. I love that.
Like what's happening, Savannah? Like what's like, just, I got a new haircut.
Yeah, that's it. My voice is getting a little lower. It's fine. Is it lower or higher?
Well, my voice would get higher.
Higher. Okay. I don't know. I have a low voice. I think I have a raspy voice and I have no idea what it's supposed to sound like, if it's high or low. But yeah, it's higher. Why is your voice getting higher?
Your voice is very feminine still. It's a feminine raspy, which is good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I used to sound like Mickey Mouse.
No, not at all.
Well, then I smoked for like 15 years. And then when I got done smoking, I was like, oh, I guess this is just what I sound like now. All right.
Your voice is nice and smoky now.
Now it's like smoky. It's like Phoebe when I don't watch Friends. I have a friend a male friend. I'm terrified of him ever listening to this because I call him my friend.
Yeah.
I mean, he knows who I am, so it's fine. And like, but I'm always like, don't listen to my podcast. I call you my friend and I talk about you all the time. But he watches Friends with his sister all the time. So like I now quote Friends or talk about Friends because he talks about Friends so much. So that's where that came
from. Oh, okay.
Yeah, your voice, speaking of voices, your voice is getting higher too, right? I mean, I'd
like to think, I hope so.
Yeah.
But and that's some thanks to voice lessons.
You're taking, okay.
I am, because here's the thing, which kind of is bothersome, is trans men, like female to male, the testosterone will naturally thicken their vocal cords and cause their voice to already drop.
Oh, okay.
Whereas male to female trans people, estrogen doesn't heighten the voice, so you have to like train it.
Oh,
which is great. Yeah, I know, but there's a ton of tutorials on YouTube. But I also was like, I can't like just learn from YouTube, so I'm gonna hire a voice coach.
Yeah.
So I take weekly lessons, and like they teach you how to like take your voice from your diaphragm up to your face, basically, and like how to like manage the airflow, and like the resonance to like go over your soft palate, and then they like train you with like how to soften your vowels and like different word endings so it's not like dropping the resonance. So it's like a lot of cool tips that I wouldn't have known from YouTube. But like one of the funniest tests that I wanted to try with that was for some reason my ex-girlfriend sent me a voice memo instead of a text, which she never really does. And so I was like, ooh, this will be a good way to test this out.
Yeah.
So Yeah, so I hear hers and then I send my answer back with my voice. And then I get a text in all caps going, "Whoa, like your voice sounds so different."
That's awesome. It does. I mean, as soon as we popped on, I was like, oh, her voice has totally changed.
Oh, thank you. That means the lessons are working then. I'll have to tell my teacher that.
Yeah. How long have you been doing the lessons for?
Only I want to say late March.
Oh, okay. What? It's April. Okay. I was like last March, obviously this March.
Yeah, I've had like 5 lessons, 6 lessons. So, but she also is teaching me how to like laugh more feminine.
Oh,
How to like even things like clearing your throat more femininely.
okay.
Um, like sounds that are more involuntary because like you can speak all day and control that, but like if someone makes you laugh you can't really control it. And I didn't want to like I would be at like comedy shows recently, um and I would laugh and it would still sound like a man laugh. And I was
You're like,
like, well, I'm just giving myself away.
but it's like you're. I mean, that's yeah. You're like but does it take practice then to like get that the involuntary? Is your
It
teacher
does.
a trans woman herself or no? Is
No,
she
it really does. Yeah, she is.
okay?
Yeah, so she, like whatever she learned, she was teaching me as well, which was nice. But and she sounds really feminine, so I was like, oh, this is gonna be good. But she like it's cool too because like what they teach you about training your voice and like pitch it, like they start with pitch and resonance, and the pitch um help like to warm up my voice every morning because like in the morning I sound like like
Really?
really, yeah, just like so gruff and like, oh god. But then I have to warm it up, so I do like a pitch finder and I go up the scale like la 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 la.
Oh, I love that.
I actually do meow sounds.
Will you do it right now?
I do like meow and then all the way up to meow.
Oh my gosh, I don't think I could get that high.
And so like from a low C to a low C to an A basically
Mhm.
is my range, and that helps with like singing too. Like trans ladies out there, like if you train your voice, you might also be better singers. So it's a good tip.
Oh, that's kind of
Um,
cool.
but then like the breakthrough for me for voice stuff, like I was treating my pitch because my pitch right now is at an A#3. So like once I do the full pitch scale, then I like tune my voice and my throat to an A#3, and then I talk a little above that.
Mhm.
But I still wasn't reaching. I was still very inconsistent, and then my teacher was like, "Stress your vocal cords at a super high pitch for like a minute or 2 minutes, and then by the time you go down to your natural pitch, it'll be so easy." And then
Oh,
so
okay.
I tried that, and it made it leaps and bounds better.
Oh, I love that. How
And
long?
so that this is the result of like 6 weeks of training.
How long are you in training for? Just indefinitely until until you're like, I think I'm good.
I think probably that, like, or unless they're like, well, there's really nothing left for me to teach, but just remember all the tools, and you can always email me if you have questions. But um, yeah, it's like I practice all day, every day because I wanna fully pass. So I wanna at least I don't like I have friends who are very sweet and kind, and they're like, "No, you've always sounded feminine and stuff." But I'm like, I know what I used to sound like. So it's like if people like you knew my old voice.
Yeah, yeah. You're I mean, I'm not I can't I hope that doesn't make me not sweet. But yeah, you have a very deep voice and your voice is like it's not, it's high. Sorry. It feels like, I feel like low sounds like it makes more sense because it's like feminine is like, no, that's sexist of me. Feminine is low, but you know what I mean? Like the high. Okay. But I remember your old voice and your
I know, like
voice
I
is
just meant
leaps
like
and
people who always knew me as Savannah, they'd be like, "Oh no, since I met you as Savannah, like you've always sounded feminine." Because I was actively trying then too at higher stuff, but like people who knew me as my old self knew my deep voice.
yeah.
So I forgot where I was going with that, but yeah,
Yeah, sorry.
definitely.
I went on a
No,
tangent.
no, it's that we need the tangents are fun.
Yeah.
But what I will say, Kim, is like it's been. I thought it was going to damage my comedy, but it's actually boosted it big time.
Oh, yay. Has your,
Like it,
obviously your jokes have changed, right? Did you just scrap everything that you wrote
no,
before?
not at all. I kept a lot of my old stuff because it was never really about me anyway. It was
Yeah.
just like observational stuff. So
Yeah,
I got
you're
to
more
keep.
observational comic.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. But so I was like, but naturally, when you have big life changes, you're gonna find material in it. So I was like, I'll just keep my old stuff and then also talk about trans stuff. And it's been amazing. But I also just feel so much happier. And I feel like when I made that post coming out,
Mhm.
I was just like, I'm just at the mercy of the world now. But I felt like everybody was so amazing about it.
Yeah, was there any negative comments, any challenges you had to go through with people? Like, how your parent, I don't know how close you are to your parents. I'm not at all to my parents. So I always forget to ask about people's parents because I don't have them.
Yeah,
And I'm like, oh yeah, people care about what their parents think, right? I think normal people,
you
but
you would think, yeah.
yeah, I have no idea. Yeah. But so did you have any challenges with anybody, or what did your family think? Or was there any like roadblocks, or is it just,
So overall, so on Twitter is where more of the trolls happen. Like I got like harassed by this guy from who is a self-proclaimed Aryan.
what's an Aryan? Like the Aryan Nation Nazis?
Yeah, like a neo-Nazi.
Jesus, who's proud of that? Okay.
So he said something about like this it should like do themselves a favor and like hang themselves. Like gross stuff like that. But then I tweeted back like, "Hey, dude, your Führer's dead and your beliefs suck. Like, get with the world."
Yeah. That's what did Chelsea Handler say to the racists and to the, like, the world's just getting gayer and browner. Hop on board or you're gonna get
Yeah,
left behind. That's it. Like we're,
that's
like
it.
we're moving on and we don't have time for this like trans that's not even, I mean that's transphobic obviously, but so can you, I'm sorry. I just can't imagine messaging someone on the internet that I don't know and saying any of those words in a sentence, right? Like I can't imagine
Right?
messaging someone and just being like, you should hang your, like ever. I can't
I
imagine
know.
messaging that guy who should hang himself. Sorry, that's terrible, but that
Do
guy's
you want to message him
trash.
that for me?
Yes, send me his, oh, I don't know. People like that are kind of scary. I don't know how bad I want.
Well, so I and just like the fact that they think we're gonna care, like, oh, now that you said that, I'm just gonna not transition anymore. Oops.
But like you said, a lot of the ignorance of just like thinking that it was just this fly by night decision that you're just like, well, maybe I'll do this. It's like, no,
I
this
know.
is a major life change. I mean, like, it's like the biggest one, I feel. I mean, I don't know if it's but you know what I mean? It's like up there with the big ones.
Oh, for sure. No, it's for me the biggest, but
Well,
it's
yeah.
like I had another comment that was like a lipstick on a pig is still a pig. Bullshit like that. Like it doesn't even bother me though, because I had such positive feedback that I was just like, fuck the rest of y'all.
And those are strangers too, right? Like no one that you
That's why
knew.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah, it's like I've been called many, many things by stranger. I mean, this is what part of our life is, right? Being in the limelight. It's like we hope that we get more, because it means the more hate we get, the bigger we're getting. You know what I mean? Like the more I have people making fun of whatever they're going to make fun of, the more I'm like, oh, people are starting to notice me. Yeah.
Well, it means you're on their radar. Like it means that you take up enough space in their head for them to talk about you. Whereas like if you don't, if you're not doing something, or just like kind of under the radar, they're not even gonna like think about you enough to even insult you. So
yeah, so
like
you're
even the
doing
fact that
something
people
right.
are like, right. So anyone who feels like they have haters, you're doing the right things, guys.
Yeah, if people are taking the time out of their day to like think about you and go out of their way to like, that means you're shining. I don't know. I feel like, what's the Taylor Swift? This is so embarrassing, but I sing it to myself sometimes when people are less than kind. There's a song that she's like, people throw rocks at things that shine. And like that, I love that, because every time someone's ever like put me down or said something bad to someone else about me, or I hear like so and so hates you, or like, and I'm like, well, people throw rocks at things that shine. And
Yes.
and it's
But how could people hate you though?
I don't know. I mean, thank you. But I mean, I feel the same way about you, but it's like there's people are going to find reasons not to like something they don't understand. They don't like, like I've like so many people from my high school have unfriended me because of my political, because I think Black people shouldn't be murdered by police.
Oh,
And that
God
like,
forbid,
yeah,
know?
or I think trans rights are human rights. Like I've been unfriended by so many people that I don't think that Trump is a demigod. Demigod, is that the right word? I don't know if it's right.
Demigod, yeah.
Yeah, it's not spelled demigod, but it should be, because that makes more sense to me.
Well, God, yeah, like God forbid that people have basic human rights.
What? Right? Like I can't. When I was a kid, I was raised by like a pretty Republican guy, and I mean, he died, so I don't know. He died before the Trump stuff. So I always wonder like what my dad would have thought of Trump, because my dad hated Hillary and like was like a ticket Republican voter.
Yeah.
But he like growing up, he used to like make fun of me. This was his favorite. He's like, this one's a bleeding heart liberal. She cares about people. Like he thought it was like, oh, dude, shouldn't that make you proud that your daughter gives a fuck about people? But he's like, this one gives a fuck. Jesus, what a loser. I mean, he never called me a loser, but like the tone in his voice was like making fun of me for like believing we all should have equal rights, and that, women aren't just secretaries. That was one.
How dare you care about people, Kim?
It's just like, what a weird thing to like. So I don't know. So I don't have hater like you. Like it's mostly strangers, and if people are like, say anything, it's just like, oh well, I'm gonna go over. You know what? I'm busy. I'm too busy. Like I was talking to a comic years ago when I first started, and he's like higher up. And it was like when everyone's kind of catty in the open mic world, right? Like everyone's super.
I remember you telling me that story, but listeners probably haven't heard it, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. I won't say his name just because that whole thing. But yeah, I like told like this story, and like this, I was like, does it get better? And this comic, who's like a nationally touring comic, has multiple albums, Netflix, all that stuff. He's like, yeah, when you hit a certain level, everyone on your level is so busy with their own shit. They don't have time to make fun of you or look at your stuff. Like no one cares about it. They're just all in their own lane. And I found that the further I go on comedy and the more I surround myself with people like you that are doing their own shit, and like you're like, you care about me, you want me to do well, but you're like, I'm too busy dealing with my own shit. Like I got my own comedy career so I wish you that, like, I support you, I love you, but like, who has time to compare?
I know, like that's why life's gotten so much better too. It's because like I've stopped giving a fuck about like people's hatred, because I'm just like, the fact that you're taking time to hate like that shows that you're not even ambitious enough to do anything, and I'm too busy for that. So bye-bye.
So have fun. Bye. Yeah.
And like as soon as I've cut out every single toxic person from my life. Like there's not a shred of shit anymore.
Yeah.
And it feels, it rocks. Like it
It's
rocks so hard.
it's amazing. It's hard when you like realize someone's toxic, but I've also found the more I work on myself and the like happier I get, like I said earlier, like those people just sort of fuck off on their own. Like I don't have to have like some long breakup talk with them, like how I don't think we can be friends anymore because you know you're kind of a bigot, or like you did this or did that, or like you know what or like you're like you seem to actively root for me to fail. Like
Which
you
is
don't
like,
have to
what?
you don't have to have those conversations because people just kind of fuck off.
The
I love
trash takes itself out.
and I love it. Oh, I love it. I'm so
Oh,
I'm gonna
but to go back to your other question, like I also um like I came out to my whole family the weekend before I made the post. Um, but so I told two of my brothers first,
do you have a
and
big
they,
family?
yeah, pretty big.
Okay.
A lot of half siblings.
Okay.
But my mom and dad, like I remember calling my mom on the way back. I messaged her being like, "Hey mom, can I call you like later today? Because I have something to share." And she was like, "Absolutely." So on the car ride back, I think I just got done with like some shopping at the Glendale Galleria, but um, we were talking a little bit, and I was like, "So there was a reason I was calling you." And I just wanted to share with you that for the last, at the time, it was like 10 months. But I was like, since the last February, I've been on hormone therapy. Well, no, I said I've been transitioning. And I said it, I surprised myself because I said it without shaking, without stuttering. I just said it so as a matter of factly. And my mom was just like, she immediately was just like, "Oh, how's that going? Are you taking hormones? Like this and that?" Just like being inquisitive about it. And then as we like winded through the conversation, I was like, so just so you know, like I'm taking voice lessons, but I'm also going to be like coming out. So after that, you're going to have to refer to me by my new name and pronouns. And then she was just like so unsure about it. She was like, I'll try. Like I need to process. And I was like, I get that, but like still definitely try because that's who I'm gonna be. Like I'm not gonna be who you knew.
Yeah.
So I told her, and then my dad, I was the most scared to tell him because you know it's my dad.
Yeah.
And he he and I compromised with myself because the rest of my family was like, "Well, what's Dad gonna think?" And I was like, I don't know." And so I like compromised with myself by sending him a message.
Oh.
Um, and then within the next 10 minutes, he sent me back like heart emojis and gave support. And he said there were things he didn't understand. He's like, I wish that we could be talking about this in person, but he lives in Minnesota.
Yeah.
But he's like, um, whoever you are, like, my love for you isn't based on your gender. But he's like, there are still things that I'm not going to understand. So when we talk next, like that'll be like we'll talk about it. But and I mean, he like called me Savannah.
Oh my god.
So
Like
the person that I was most afraid to tell ended up being one of the people to accept me the fastest. So I felt like I defeated the
I'm
final
like
boss in a way.
no, you. I'm sorry. I'm like you defeated what?
I feel like I defeated the final boss in a video game or something.
Yeah.
And then that moment when my dad accepted me like that, I was like, okay, my ultimate fear telling ended up accepting me. I don't give a shit what anyone else has to say now. And that's what led me to move my coming out day from just before my birthday to like that very Monday.
Oh, because
Because I was like, the rocket ship is locked in. It's like skyrocketing off. So like I had no more fear. And that's why I just stopped caring what people thought. Because I was like, I was most scared of my dad and he accepted me. So I don't give a shit what the rest of you think.
yeah. Oh my God, that's such a beautiful story. Fuck. That's so wow. That like that is like that's how you handle it, by the way, everybody with kids and anything, but like just saying like I don't care about your gender, I just love you. And that's that.
Yeah, that was such a surprising moment for me. And
That's so fucking
yeah, and like so the only things I deal with now are just I just deal with like people's like because I work at a COVID site, like that's my job. So of
oh,
course
okay.
I meet thousands of strangers on a daily basis,
Mm-hmm.
and I only get misgendered now about like at most 5 times a day,
Oh, okay.
which numbers game wise is wonderful.
Thousands, yeah. Numbers game.
Yeah,
The number game.
like for the most part, it's people being like, "I love your eye makeup," like you're amazing, or they'll immediately call me Miss or Ma'am, and I so I when I was only out to a few people, when people would call me Savannah, then that took me aback because I almost forgot that that was my name, and then
Yeah.
I have to remind myself. Now it's the other way where people will call me Miss right away or say Savannah, um, and like I just I still get shocked by it though because like I'm so used to people misgendering me
Mm-hmm.
that or like the so then I'm like no wait they immediately said it, that's awesome. um so it's been incredible, but I still like dealt with a couple overtly transphobic people a few times,
Mm-hmm.
who like would say it to my face.
Like at
Like
the COVID site?
oh yeah, like I had one guy like look me up and down and ask me if I was one of those.
At the a stranger? Jesus
Mm-hmm.
Christ. What did you say? Fuck off. I guess you
I
can't say that at
was
your job.
I mean I could have and I would have been backed up. Because I've yelled at people who are being dicks and I've gotten backed up by management.
Yeah.
Um
Looking at
but
somebody and saying that is a fuck off response. That's what you
well
get. Fuck off.
oh for real. But like at this point I was so taken aback by the fact that it actually happened. I was like, oh my God, that was the first time anyone's been that like blatantly transphobic to my face. Like I never thought it would happen. Like
Yeah.
you always expect people to just say things behind your back or like give you looks, but I was more shocked than hurt. And then my coworker like chewed out the customer in Spanish. Because like the customer was Spanish, but he like chewed it out, and the guy like was trying to apologize and was like, "Oh, I have family like you," as if that's trying to justify it. But I also had I was also
Jesus.
standing in line, and one of my coworkers like directed the patient to come to me and said like go to her.
Mhm.
And then the patient walked in my direction, then stopped and was like looking around. And I was like, who did he say to go to? And then he started laughing and was like, well, he said you, and then walked somewhere else. As if he was laughing at the fact that I was a woman and somehow that was funny.
I
But
don't
I,
even
I just
know.
wanted to be like, I wish I could like vaccinate you with like 100 needles at once, asshole.
Yeah. What gives you the like where do you have the audacity that you feel like you could treat a human that way?
I
Like
know,
who
and it's 2021 Los Angeles. Where do you think you are right now?
and that's what's scary is that it's happening in 2021 Los Angeles and you wonder what it's like in the middle of the country where it's not as accept like where it's like new, I guess. I don't know. I don't.
Well, so I know I have a trans friend who lives in Indiana, like bumfuck nowhere, Indiana,
Oh
as
man.
trans. He did like he doesn't even get like validated at all. Like people will still like dead name him and like give him crap about it. But I also have a trans friend who I got to know recently that went on a little like he's from South Dakota. I mean, sorry, she is. But
Where's she from?
she's from South Dakota.
Oh, okay.
And one of the Dakotas, they're all the same.
I don't know when. Yeah, north or south, it's the same thing.
It's the same.
And I'm sure, I think I know who you're talking about, and she's an old friend of mine too. Okay, and I think she would agree if we both go Dakotas, whatever. Like, I think I've said that to her. She's like, it doesn't matter. But
yeah, but she said that she like toured around the Midwest a little bit and traveled, and she said she never really got any judgment from people, like even down the Bible Belt and stuff. Like, she joked that she got more flack for wearing a mask than she did for being trans.
Leave it to the middle of the country. Wow, that's really funny. And also,
it's hilarious.
And also unexpected, but kind of expected, right? Like there's part of me that's like, yeah, that tracks. And then the other part's like, oh. But that's good.
Right. Because I feel like we forget that generalizations aren't true, but they can be for the most part true. Like, yeah, like the coastal cities like LA and New York, they will be accepting because they're the most progressive and they're the most forward about things. But like we still forget that there are smart, kind people out everywhere else in the world, but it just happens to be that the dumbasses are just more concentrated.
Or they're just louder too. They're much louder. Like the dumb people and the ignorant are much more comfortable yelling their ignorance than, because you're right. We don't want to be generalized, but yet I generalize the fuck out of the middle of the country, and I try not to but I'm like, and I have a lot of family in Nebraska, Montana, outskirts of Denver, right? Like in like the hillbilly area. And a lot of them are pretty much progressive, and a lot of them are, they all, voted for Biden, and they like, are accepting and loving. But yeah, I generalize the fuck out of the middle of the country, and
me too.
I really want to work on it because it feels like I'm a hypocrite. But it's like, I don't know. I've met most of the people I know that are transphobic are from the middle of the country. So
how do you want to explain that? Midwest? But like I still know I know people from like Texas who are accepting of me. I know people who are trans or queer that live in Georgia or Indiana again. Like they're all over the world.
Yeah.
But they're just so based in a Christian society that but so you forget that those people live out there. But that's why I that's why like doing stand-up on the road would be kind of scary.
Yeah,
because I have no idea. Like there are people where you'll go and perform that will have trouble if you're Black.
I only laugh because it's just such a funny way to put it, and it's so true. Have trouble with you being like, I have trouble that you're Black, but you're right. That is like I'm struggling that I am laughing at a Black man comedian. I'm struggling that, and it's just like, what? But you're right. Like it's like,
so like if they're that behind with skin color, being trans is kind of the newest thing on the radar in a way. The newest thing. So it's like, if they're trying to fathom race,
they're still back on that. Yeah.
There's no way in hell they're going to fathom like gender fluidity.
No, if you're so freaked out about Black people, you're going to be really freaked out about a trans woman. I'll tell you, like it's
from the makers of Black people come a new thing to hate.
A new thing for you to hate and be like, no, it's a new thing for you to be confused by. So therefore you'll fear it. So therefore you'll mask your fear with hate. Like that's all it is that you're ignorant and you don't know what it is. Like,
just in case things are taken out of context by listeners.
Yeah, just we're kidding ish.
Well, no, it was elucidating just like how they think.
Yeah, okay, that's a better way to say that we're kidding, because we're not kidding, but we're saying from their if you just
that's from their perspective, but it's just like, but girl, like I've had people in freaking California, they'll hear entire sets or appearances from me talking about this stuff, and they'll still call me bro or sir or he or as like, dude, did you not? But then I remember that men don't listen anyway, so why am I surprised?
They don't. You can get you a man that listens.
like that. I think like yeah, trans people aren't understood that much, but even more under the radar are men who listen.
Yeah, they're a unicorn. They're out there. I know a lot of men that listen, but they're rare. Unicorns aren't real, probably.
Like, guys, it's okay to come out as listeners. It's okay.
It's okay. It's fine. You can listen and still be manly. It's no one's gonna discount your manliness or whatever you think. Like that's a whole other that could be a whole other podcast, and like men in like society, how we've taught men that like somehow we've as a society have convinced everyone that anger isn't an emotion. So like men can like that they're way more emotional than we are. Like way more easily, but we haven't been taught that anger is an emotion. So when they punch their hand through a wall because the Broncos lose, they're not being emotional, they're just angry. But you're like, anger is an emotion, you dumbass. And that's way
I can't
more.
show my emotions. Well, you're showing a lot of emotion to that wall, dude.
A lot of emotions. Okay, so I'm gonna switch gears on you.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever listened to my solo podcast, or if you listen. The Kral-ing Up is new. The Kral Space with guests. So you're like my second guest, which is like, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do. Malone, if you know Michael Malone, he is.
I do.
He's amazing. He was my first guest, and I was like, fuck you, dude. Like, you're too good of a first guest. How am I going to top it? And now I got a second guest, and you're too good. How am I going to top Savannah? Like, it's just, it's a good problem to have.
I don't know. Like, it's hard to be number one, you know?
It really is. And it's a good problem to have. I have wonderful people that'll be on my show. So I do this on my solo one, and I couldn't get Malone to answer the question, but maybe you will. We're going to do the Poopscoop. Do you know what the Poopscoop is?
I do not know what the Poopscoop is, but let's rock and roll.
All right. The Poopscoop is, I'm going to ask you, have you ever pooped your pants before?
Oh, well,
yes!
that was a gear I was not expecting.
I know, that's what Malone said too. Malone and I were like crying, and then I was like, hey, he goes, wow, really? That's what you're going to end this with? I'm like, it doesn't have to be a poop pants story. I have a theory that if you've never pooped your pants, your time is coming. Like, we all know that you've either pooped your pants or you're lying about it, or there's a third option. You're going to poop your pants as an adult.
Are we talking like a full on, or like a little comes out, like you shart? Like, what's the degree here?
Whichever one you want to share. I'm up for anything. I sharted at the Improv one time. That was rough day for Kim.
There was a day, I think it was 4th grade, but we were getting back on the bus to go back to school from a field trip, and I had to use the bathroom so bad, and there was just no bathroom, and I ended up like completely paving my pants. Like,
what's paving? Oh my god, paving!
It was just like full asphalt crew just going out there, and then I was like, oh damn! So and I sat down, and it was just like a kind gardener, just evenly spreading across. And like, of course, it stinks, so people complain, and I was like, hey, I kind of like my pants, but I didn't say that because I didn't know swear words at that age. But yeah, it was I threw those pants away and they figured it out. But
how serious you got when I asked this question, and then how very honestly and serious, like very matter of fact, I had to throw those pants away. I just had to.
we've all done it, so why be scared of it?
We've all done. You've never pooped your pants as like an adult, though, Chardon?
As an adult,
I feel so shamed when you answer it that way because I've pooped my pants a lot as an adult.
Which I'm sorry, get that checked. But
did you say that checks? Like, I'm not surprised.
Yeah. I honestly haven't pooped my pants as an adult. I've definitely listened. There was one time where I was listening to some music, and the music was so good that I actually came my pants though.
You came?
I was surprised. Like I was listening to this guitar solo and it ascended and I felt myself sploosh.
What?
And I was like, that actually happens? Holy shit. Like I patted my crotch and I was just like, oh my God, what?
I've never heard of that before.
Me neither. I didn't think it was humanly possible, but it was. So it was just such a good, and that's why I like every time I listen to that song I get excited. But because I was just like it was by this metal band called Dream Theater.
It's metal. It's a metal band.
But
not even
there's this guitar solo on the song Lost Not Forgotten that just was so good that I caved my pants and I was like, like that's incredible, honestly. I feel like a pioneer.
Oh, it's okay. So then last question, last segment. This one's not as crass. Thank you for going along that journey. I did not expect that, Kier.
Of course. Like I wanted to like go along for the ride. So
I love that. Yeah, Malone was like, no, I've never pooped my pants. I'm like, even a little? He's like, no. And he goes, I guess my time's coming. I am convinced you'll poop your pants as an adult too, Savannah. I'm convinced.
Or he's so ashamed of it that he didn't want to share. But
I have a friend that has told me for like 15 years she's never pooped her pants, and she's like appalled that I have this theory. And then a month ago, she's like, well, like maybe one time I had some stuff leak out of there, but it was like not poop. And I was like, well, what the fuck was it then? She's like, well, it was like poop, like I'm like, girl, you pooped your pants. That's poop. You pooped your pants. How have you? And she was trying to like be like, well, it came from some food that was bad, and that's why I'm like, it's still pooping your pants. No one's ever pooped their pants like on purpose. It's always a surprise, and it's always like, oh my. And there's always like a reason behind it, whether if it's bad enchiladas or whatever it is that you ate, right? But she was like, she said that I could tell people, but I couldn't use her name, so I am upholding that promise. Okay, so last question. I have a segment that I call I Am One Lucky Broad. And basically, I just want you to tell me something you're grateful for. I want you to start out with saying, I am one lucky broad because, and then tell me why you're one lucky broad.
Okay, Kim, that's a fantastic question because it's something that I ruminate about almost every day. Because I still am just shocked that I'm in this situation. But I am one lucky broad because I live in a city that I used to dream about being home. I get to be my true self after 6+ years of fear and terror and possible ostracization and discounting. I get to work a stable job with people who love me. I have friends who absolutely care about me. I have a savings account finally. I live in a house that's absolutely beautiful. With like all the clothes I've ever wanted, all the shoes I've ever wanted. I have like amazing opportunities on the way, and I I like don't lose sleep at night over it at all. And I feel like the luckiest broad on the face of the planet right now.
Oh, I love that so much. I love that. I love you.
I love you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your experience on here. That's I my hope with the show is that people will listen and learn and maybe not feel so alone if they're where you were 6+ years ago, you know? Like
I hope so, because it is a scary thing. Because you always think you're alone like that, but you definitely are not. There's way more people, no matter what you're into or who you are, there's always others that are as well. So
yeah.
never be afraid to reach out, never be afraid to explore yourself. And yeah, just live as happily as you can with, and don't give a shit about other people's opinions, for God's sake.
Yeah. God. I wish I felt that 15 years ago. I'm finally feeling it now. You know what I like? Who gives a fuck? Like people are gonna judge you no matter what. So you might as well get judged doing what you love to do.
Exactly.
And being who you are. Because they're gonna judge you no matter what. So you might as well
just do you anyway. So and it's self-sabotaging not to like just to give in to other people's needs.
Yeah. Yeah. And who knows? You might come out, be yourself, and you might get a response that completely blows your mind, like you did. Your dad's story. I'm going to carry that along with me for a long time. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, of
So
course.
beautiful.
Like it surprised me, and like that's why it made it so much easier. So yeah, I was just happy that you wanted me to share.
Yay, thank you. All right, so where can we find you? Give me all your internet social, you know the drill.
Okay, so my main Instagram page is Savannah Manhattan. Um, but you can also follow my trans journey on That Is So Savannah. And you can follow my new restaurant review project which I also wear like a fancy outfit and talk about trans stuff on Montserrat Elite, which is a once to twice a month project, which is super fun. And then you can also find me on Facebook at Savannah Manhattan, and then Twitter at Savvy Manhattan.
Oh, I love Savvy Manhattan. I follow you on Twitter, I assume.
I think you do. You might.
I'll make sure I do when I'm done with when we're off. Savvy Manhattan. I love it. Thank you so much. And
thank you.
Yay! And thank you everyone for listening. You know the drill. Give it, if you like what you hear, give it a share, give it a like. We'll be back with another Kral-ing Up in 2 weeks, and then a new episode with me just in my closet every Wednesday. I'm KYMKRAL, all that stuff. Thanks for listening and be safe. Bye.
Bye.